Chris Codinas, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon Arizona Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Eastern. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. And I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, BetterHelp.com/Chris Codinas. They're an online therapy company. So they're international. If you're outside the US, they will set you up with a United States therapist, which is awesome. So you'll have to figure out the time differences because, time differences. But they're international. And if you're here in the US and you want to get with a therapist and you don't like the one you have, or you're in a small town, you don't want to have to drive forever, just go on to BetterHelp, BetterHelp, that's with a P, BetterHelp.com/Chris Codinas, and fill out a questionnaire, and they will set you up with a licensed professional therapist in your state, master's level or PhD level. And if you don't like them, you just go back on and say, didn't like them, set me up with somebody else. And so they'll do that. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Codinas. I'll put it down in the description. Okay, we got questions. We got questions from last week's question and answer from last week's video, which was on friendship. Okay, my 30-year-old friend spoils her son a lot. At 11, he always sleeps in her bed, no rules, no boundaries, family vacations with separated dad of son. He pays, no see and no criticism allowed. What to do? Well, it's your friend, it's not you. So the only thing you could do is just say, have you thought about maybe going to some counseling to get some tools for parenting or parallel parenting with a disordered ex? That's all you can do. You hold the rules and boundaries for yourself, but if this person chooses not to do boundaries, and a lot of times parents make the big mistake of, there's a divorce, they feel guilty, and so they're going to be very permissive because they want to try to make it up to the kid. And unfortunately, that never works. It always backfires. So they think that if there's no rules, no boundaries, they're making it up to, they feel guilty, they're making it up to the kid for the divorce, etc. It always backfires. So just, you don't want to come at it like you're a terrible parent, because if you do that, your friend is going to give you the middle finger and walk out. So, hey, it might help you to get some tools to help your son. So, there's boundaries and rules, that kind of thing. So, it's not your kid, so you have very little say. Be careful how you approach it, because they'll take it very personally, because most moms do, or dads do. It's like, they're doing the best they can with what they've got. So, but you could encourage maybe going to get some parenting classes or some counseling to help with how to parallel parent with a disordered ex, that kind of thing, so that the kid doesn't get damaged. So that's one way to do it. Hang on just a second. Let me get back over. Okay, not a question, but a request. Can you talk about narcissism and education and medical? I've experienced school administration on a power trip, and it's awful. I think this needs more attention. Oh, yes, I absolutely can do that. In fact, why don't we do that next Sunday? Not this Sunday, because this Sunday is going to be Thanksgiving's weekend, and I'm taking it off. So, but maybe the following Sunday, let's talk about all the different places where narcs hide. I think I've already kind of done one on that, but it's worth repeating. So yeah, they're in the medical field. Flat out sociopaths I have met that are paramedics and EMTs, flat out, so, you think that you're getting into a safe situation because, they're helpers, they're first responders. And I'm not saying all first responders are like this, not by any chance, just like not all counselors or all doctors or all anybody. But remember, abusers are attracted to positions of power. I don't know, maybe we should do this a couple of weeks out, because I'm pretty sure I did this not too long ago. But so we'll do a couple of weeks out. But yeah, they're attracted to positions of power. They absolutely are. They're in the teaching profession. They're in the medical profession. They're in politics. They're in, EMTs, paramedics, nurses. There's a reason there was the nurse Ratchet. It's the stereotypical power tripping person who really has no power, but they're going to enforce this power over these poor mentally ill people, So yeah, they're everywhere. Again, 30 to 40%, I would say 30 to 35% of the population is probably personality disorder because they don't get reported. They don't go to therapy. It never gets reported. So, and the only time they go is if they're court mandated or if they're, forced to go by their spouse, or family. So yeah, they're everywhere and it sucks. So give me a couple of weeks on that one because I'm pretty sure I did it not too long ago, but I will revisit that because that is an issue. You cannot assume that you are safe just because you call an ambulance because that person working on you could be a total sociopath. So yeah, and unfortunately, there's no discriminating with that. It's like you can't be like, well, take this personality test and you're not going to get this job because you failed this personality test. You can't do that. It's discrimination. But yeah, they're in positions of power over powerless people, which is what makes them so dangerous. Absolutely. And yeah, they're in teaching positions. They're in healthcare. They're in medical. They're in psychology. They're in politicians. Any place that there's a power differential, you will find narcissists. Absolutely. And abusers. Absolutely. So we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. Okay, I live in a country that's famous for there not being much respect or manners. You're in the U.S.? Sorry, joking. Well, not really. How can I cope? Many people here get suspicious if someone is polite or simply kind. So it's a societal thing, but it's also a narcissistic thing. So narcissists view people who are kind as inferior. Narcissists view people who are polite as chumps. And so they think they're superior by having no manners and by treating people poorly. So, if it's a societal thing, you still be you. You do you. You just do you. You be kind. You be gentle. You be polite. You be mannerly. And if they view you as less than or suspicious, let them. You can't change their opinion. You can't. You just do what you know you can sleep with at night. Seriously. So if you're in a group, in a society where, there's just no manners and people are suspicious and blah, 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 they're going to be. If it's not the manners that they're suspicious of, they'll find something else to be suspicious of. So you just be you. You do not lower your moral compass to make abusers happy. Period. So, or society happy, period. Just because, what was the quote I read? Oh, it was a great quote. It was like, a wrong is a wrong, even if everyone else is doing it. And a right is a right, even if no one else is doing it. So you stick to your own moral compass. You stick to your own moral set of standards and you do what you know you can sleep with at night. And that's what you do, and you let it go because you can't control what other people think. They're going to think whatever they're going to think, whether it's societal or whether it's because they're just disordered. But just remember, people who are disordered view people who are kind and view people who have manners and are polite as chumps. They do, because they think might makes right, and it doesn't. It might for a little bit, but it doesn't ever last. Okay. And I do find America to have a lack of manners. I really do. Oh, I was going to tell you. So I was in the beauty salon the other day, and these two went at it because of masks. One had a mask on, one didn't have a mask on, and neither one of them could let it go. And I'm sitting there going, both of you sit down and shut the bleep up. Oh my God. And thank God the owner said what I was going to say because it was getting close. So anyway, yeah. So manners, manners maketh the man. They really do. It shows people who you really are. If you're courteous, if you're kind, that's a moral standard. And abusers have no patience for that because it makes them feel bad because they know they don't have that same kind of moral. They know they don't have that same kind of feeling. It's like they can't feel it. They can't feel empathy for another person. Manners are the social grease that keeps the cogs of society going. Once manners go out the window, you see a breakdown in communication. You see a breakdown in social norms so that violence is suddenly now acceptable. Because when manners are in place and you honor and recognize yourself and honor and recognize another person, you would no more want to harm them than you would want to harm yourself. If you're really religious, you would no more want to harm somebody else than you would yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Funny how that works. So yeah, but abusers hate the golden rule, feel that manners are a chump's game, and that they look down on kind people because they think they're weak. But what they don't understand is that the strongest people out there are the ones who are kind, that are making a difference. So yeah, evil may seem to win for a little bit, but it never lasts. So, all right. Okay. Is a work college calling themselves the work, colleague. Okay, wait. Can't read. Oh, is the work colleague calling themselves the work mama, but doesn't help anyone? Are they toxic or I'm missing something? Trust your gut. Trust your gut, trust your gut, trust your gut. So work mama is kind of similar to queen bee. Queen bees don't work either. So think about it. The queen bee doesn't. All she does is lay eggs, And so, the workers do all of that. The workers do all of this stuff. That's why they call themselves queen bees. They don't want to do anything. They want to do the absolute minimum. So somebody who's a work mama is doing the same thing. Oh, I'm a work mama. I'm a work mama. And you're not doing the work. So how are you a work mama? So maybe she's thinking in her head that she's, gathering all the little chicks to her and she's watching over everybody. Well, that's not work. That's personal, So yeah, it's the same thing. It's the queen bees don't work and work mamas don't work. So yeah, trust your gut on that one. Absolutely. Especially if they're not doing the work. So yeah, I would love if you could discuss pathological demand and avoidance. Okay. Yes. And rejection sensitive dysphoria in a future topic. Okay, so maybe we should talk about rejection. Okay, pathological demand avoidance and rejection sensitive dysphoria. Okay, so 2 weeks from now, we're going to discuss that one. And then the following week, we're going to discuss how many abusers there are in positions of power and what to do, basically. So not this weekend because it's Thanksgiving weekend, but the following weekend, I'm going to be discussing the pathological demand avoidance, so avoiding and rejection sensitive dysphoria. So that's what we'll talk about and also dissociation. So we need to talk about dissociation as well. So we'll talk about that. All right. So that'll be not next week, but the week after's topic. And then the week after is going to be the one on how many narcissists and abusers there are in positions of power. Okay. My boyfriend gawks at other women when we are out on a date. Is that normal? No, it is not normal. Abso-freaking-lutely not. So one thing that abusers do is that they will intentionally ogle somebody in order to really make you feel insecure. That is the whole job and mission of a narcissist, is to make you feel not good enough. When you're out on a date with somebody, they should be paying attention to you. Now, is it normal to look? Yeah. I'll, little glance. Ooh, kind of cute, whatever. But I'm not going to be like, hey, baby, how you doing? Yeah, keep walking away. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that. That's ridiculous. That's rude. So if they're intentionally ogling to the point where it's like, hello, date, kick them to the curb. They are trying to make you feel not good enough and insecure. So that's not normal. That is not normal. It's normal to look. Absolutely. I mean, if Gerard Butler walked down, right next to us while we were out, I'd probably be like, ooh, Gerard Butler. Ooh, okay. And then right back to, I'm with John, you don't sit there and ogle and make it obvious. That's rude and that's hurtful. So if you're dating somebody and they're doing something that's hurtful to you, don't put up with it. Do not put up with it. Absolutely not. I mean, it's normal to look, but it's not normal to ogle. Does that make sense? All right. What is normal? Well, normal is on a sliding scale. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when I did What is Normal? So normal is not hurting other people, That's normal. It's abnormal to hurt other people. Normal is on a sliding scale. If it's not hurting you and it's not hurting somebody else, and nobody's getting harmed by it, then that's normal. That's okay. So normal is the relative. It's like, it's a numbers game. It's like, okay, well, here's abnormal, here's normal, and somewhere in the middle, because you always want to aim for the middle, is what the average is and what normal is. So Yeah, basically it's in when you get into psychology, it's like I've had some clients ask me, well, is it abnormal to be into BDSM? Well, as long as it's consensual and you're not getting hurt psychologically or physically, like long term, then it's fine. There's nothing wrong, quote unquote, with that. But if you're getting hurt psychologically, like if this is bringing up all sorts of abuse stuff and you're getting triggered and harmed, and then then it's not normal for you. Does that make sense? And everybody's normal is different. So remember, when we're in an abusive family, they've normalized crazy. So to us, chaos, drama, yelling, screaming, verbal abuse, physical abuse, that's all normal for us. So when we come out of that, we then have to discover what normal really is, So again, that's pathological. So one end of the spectrum or the other, you want to aim for the middle. So yeah, normal is on a sliding scale. And as long as you're not hurting yourself or hurting somebody else, then it's okay. Does that make sense? So yeah. And again, normal is also relative to what our experience is. Coming out of abuse, we now have to figure out what is healthy. I think putting it in terms of what is healthy is better than what is normal. It's like, well, what is healthy? What helps you achieve your best self? What helps you love yourself? What helps you like yourself? What helps you have healthy relationships? What helps you have healthy eating patterns? What helps you have healthy sleep hygiene? What helps you have, because when you come out of an abnormal family, so like, for example, my sister and I, Nancy and I, we would always stay up late. Nancy still does. She stays up until, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. I used to stay up until 3 in the morning. Why? Because it was quiet and I didn't have to deal with my dad. And if I slept in, I didn't have to deal with my dad. So, we learned that the quiet is in the nighttime when the abusers are asleep and we can watch TV, we can read, we can uninterrupted, because the abuser would always come in during the day and comment and criticize and whatever. So normal for a lot of abuse survivors is being night owls, until, like for me, it wasn't until I went through therapy and I started working on, okay, what's healthy for me, what's not healthy for me. I discovered I like the mornings. I do. I love the mornings. The mornings are beautiful as long as the sun is up. If the sun is not up, neither am I. But if the sun is up, I'm up, because the sunrise for me is just magical. It's the magic hour. I love it. But it's like, and for Nancy, being a night owl is normal. So, it just depends. It just depends. And I'm not saying that that's abnormal for her, because it works for her. So that's great. And what works for me is getting up 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, usually 5 or 6 in the summer, and then usually 6 or 7 in the winter, and then starting my day and going. So that works. So normal is what works. That's not hurting you and not hurting somebody else. So I hope that answered the question. My mother-in-law is jealous of me and the kids. Oof. I feel as if it's a constant competition. My husband sees it and we have gone low contact. Good. So this is common with narcissistic in-laws, mother-in-laws, father-in-laws, whatever. They will be jealous of the spouse and they'll even be jealous of the grandkids, which is cray-cray, because normally healthy grandparents, healthy in-laws are loving the grandkids, can't wait to see them, can't wait to spend time with them, enjoy their company, want to have them over, etc., etc., etc. But a narcissist, it has to be all about them. Me, I, more, my genitals. That is what narcissists do, and they will be jealous of children. They'll be jealous of grandchildren. They'll be jealous of dogs. They'll be jealous of pets. They'll be jealous of cats. They'll be jealous of rabbits. They'll be, you name it. Anything that takes the attention off of them, they will be jealous about. So yeah, going low contact, great. Absolutely. And at some point you may want to go no contact. And really, I get this question a lot too. It's like, well, what's better, low contact or no contact? That's up to you. That really is what you are comfortable with. Some people are not comfortable going no contact because they're afraid, or because there's other relationships involved that you cannot go no contact with, or whatever. So you do what works for you. And if low contact works, great, do that. If no contact works, great, do that. So it really is, what are you comfortable with? what's going to work and do that. So there that is. Yeah, you're doing the right thing. Where does self-doubt, second guessing ourselves, come from? It comes from low self-esteem. It does. I keep telling everybody, self-esteem and boundaries. If you get your self-esteem and boundaries rock solid, you've solved 90% of the problem. So when you have good self-esteem, you tend to have also good boundaries. When you have good boundaries, you also tend to have good self-esteem. And when you've got both going, you're listening to your gut. You're not listening to your head. You're not listening to your heart. You're listening to your gut. So the gut instinct, is this person good for me? Yes or no? And then you trust what your gut says, not the story that your head tells, not the story that your heart tells. So the gut is a simple yes or no answer to a yes or no question. So to work on that, you work on self-esteem. Because also, good self-esteem, good boundaries, trusting your gut, you're not going to second guess yourself. You're going to trust your gut. You're going to go, nope, my gut is screaming at me, we are not going down this alleyway, or we are not going to Christmas with Aunt Bertha, or we are not, it tells you. It's like, you know the answer. You do. It's like, trust that. So not trusting your gut is what constantly leads us down the primrose path to bad decisions. Seriously. So, that's self-esteem and boundaries are what's going to stop the self-doubt and the second guessing, because you know that you like yourself, you know that you love yourself, and you know that you are trustworthy. The Self-Esteem Workbook by Glenn Schiraldi. Excellent book. Get it, work it. It's great. There's another one called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. That's another good one. I like the Schiraldi one a little better because it has actual exercises to do. So it's kind of a more structured kind of thing. The Disease to Please by Harriet Breaker. Who's Pulling Your Strings by Harriet Breaker. Codependent No More. Beyond Codependent No More, both by Melanie Beattie. Those are great books. So get those and start reading them and start trusting your gut instinct. Our abusers love to make us not believe ourselves because they want to be in control. And they want us to listen to them and not our gut. So that's why. Okay. All right. My brother-in-law married an abuser and is being isolated from family and friends. What can we do? So I'm assuming that he's no longer married to your family and he's remarried. So this is a tough one. So the problem of it is when someone we love gets involved with an abuser, there is very little we can do. They don't want to hear it. How much did we want to hear it when we were involved with an abuser? We didn't, because we were still in denial, and denial is deadly. And so one of the first things abusers do is they start testing the family and they start testing the friends. And if the friends and the family go to the target of abuse and go, we don't like this person, there's something wrong, I can guarantee you they will run back to the abuser and tell them. And then the abuser will make sure that you are no longer in contact with them, that the target of abuse is completely isolated. So there's very little you can do. Honestly, it sucks. I wish you could hit them over the head with an enlightenment stick. Hello, you're in danger. Hello, but you can't. And all you can do is leave the door open. They may slam it shut, but don't lock it. Don't lock it. Give them an opportunity to walk back in through the door. And if they do, you encourage them to get therapy. You encourage them to work on self-esteem. You point out all the ways that they've been abused and that you love them and that this person is going to badmouth you to them. And then when they do, at least they'll have that percolating in the back of their head. So, but if the person is an egoist, if they just mold themselves to whoever they're with, there's not much you can do, which is really sad, because usually people who are egoists tend to be very, very sweet and very kind and very people-pleasing. And then as soon as the abuser gets a hold of them, they turn into the abuser. They start acting exactly like the abuser. So there's not much you can do. You can just let them know you love them and you're concerned. It's like, we don't ever see you, but don't ever badmouth the abuser to them, because they'll run right back and the abuser is going to make sure you never have contact with them again. Just guarantee it. So yeah, it's heartbreaking when that happens. I called the police on my abuser, but I went to jail because my abuser flat out lied. Okay. This is common, guys. And again, it's because the police departments in this country do not get training in domestic violence. They don't. They get training in how dangerous those situations are and how to handle things from a tactical point of view. But they need to have, listen to me now, believe me later, every single police department in the country, you need to have a social worker on hand that goes on those calls, or you need to have a counselor on hand or a therapist on hand that goes out on those calls that's trained, that's police trained. Because abusers lie all the time. I talk about this in one of my upcoming books, that I had an abuser throw themselves into a glass table and claimed that the target of abuse did it, when in fact they threw themselves, and there were witnesses, into the glass table. You know, I mean, it's just, and expected the police to just side with them. And initially the police did. So, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy the lengths that abusers will go to, and they will lie. Absolutely. If you call police, they'll go into the bathroom and cut themselves or punch themselves or, you know, whatever, so that it appears that they're the victim. So yeah, they absolutely. And police departments haven't got a clue. Haven't got a clue. They really need to have social workers or therapists that go out on those calls. And the same thing with any calls that are having to do with mental disturbances. Because 9 times out of 10, if the kid or person or whatever is schizophrenic, they're going to end up dead because the police are just going to shoot them because they're not obeying commands. And it's a little hard to obey commands when you got Satan yelling in one ear and God yelling in the other, and a police officer giving you instructions in front of you. It's not going to happen. And police don't understand that because they've never experienced it. So, yeah, and it's the same thing with domestic violence. So the whole system needs to be completely overhauled. Don't get me started. So yeah, there is that. Let me get rid of this. How much are we doing? Okay, we're doing good on time. I get so angry when people believe the smears. What can I do? Nothing, sweetie. People who are willing to believe the worst of you do not deserve you in their lives. People who are willing to believe the worst of you do not deserve you in their lives. They don't. They just don't. So abusers go on a smear campaign, and they will lie, and they will say the most horrible things about you at the, you know, either the abuser does it or the target of abuse does it at the behest of the abuser. And they'll say horrible, hurtful, terrible things. And the people who are willing to believe those things about you are not your friends in the first place. Have nothing to do with them. Get rid of them. They are flying monkeys. So anyone who's believing the abuser's lies, especially if they've known you or had any contact with you and are just willing to go with the abuser, bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. You don't need them. You don't need them. And you cannot control what other people think. What other people think of us is literally none of our business, because we can't control it. They're going to think whatever they're going to think. And if they are truly your friend, they're not going to believe the smear campaign. If they're not your friend, they are going to believe the smear campaign. Therefore, anyone who is willing to believe the worst of you does not deserve you in their lives. So there is that. All right. I think I'm going to stop. Yeah, I think that's it for now. All right, my loves. This weekend, remember, no show, because I'm going to take the weekend off. Next week, we're going to talk about dissociation, avoidance, demand avoidance, and dysphoria. So we're going to talk about rejection, dysphoria, all of that stuff. That's heavy topic. So we're going to talk about that. And then the following week, we're going to do positions of power and what to do if you find yourself in the clutches of a narcissist or an abuser, and how to stand up for yourself in different situations. So we're going to talk about that. Standing up for yourself. I think let's just title it Standing Up for Yourself. I think that's a good thing. So, all right, my loves, have a great week. If you're in the United States, have a great Thanksgiving. If you're outside of the United States, have a great week. And I will talk to you guys later. Bye.